Brazil, 1996. I do not say this to boast, but I believe my own species to be one of the most visually stunning in the entire known universe. My mother named me Astrales, and I possess a large head that towers above my bipedal body, adorned with intricate spots resembling veins on my otherwise smooth skin. Small bumps dot my cranium, adding to my own unique appearance, which is considered to be extremely handsome by most other species. And though some may find them unusual, my two red orbs serve as both eyes and windows into my soul. Fortunately for my parents and children alike, ever since I was very young, I have been informed that I am among the most aesthetically pleasing samples of my species. In all the galaxies we have explored, I have never encountered a race as stunning as my own. However, many of my kind do admire the young female humans from the region known as Brazil on Earth. They possess dark, smooth skin and prominent mammary glands above their midsections. Their buttocks are also considered to be exceptional in both size and shape by our standards. My mission, assigned by the Intergalactic Treaty, was to save countless trees and other types of plant life from the Earth's forests and transport them to a planet called Gliese 581G. This particular planet served as a vast arboretum, safeguarding plant life from all corners of the universe that were deemed at risk of extinction within the next century by the Intergalactic Council. My task was to carefully collect samples of these precious trees and clone them on Gliese 581G, where they would thrive in a protected environment. This effort would ultimately allow us to recreate the rich ecosystem found on Earth, or possibly even establish a similar one on another planet if humans ever succeeded in destroying their home. I had been on many similar missions, primarily to gather and transport various crops, fauna, and foliage. Our species had developed state-of-the-art technology that could be deployed from our spaceship while cloaked near Earth, and gather samples of earthly plant life and return them to our spaceship. This technology was almost undetectable to the local populations, except for the circular rings that our sample-taking equipment would sometimes leave behind. My kind had become especially interested in earth crops such as corn. However, we disliked broccoli and its albino cousin cauliflower. All of these plants not only played a crucial role in human nutrition, but they also thrived in multiple environments and were essential for maintaining biodiversity. Without them, many other species would suffer and potentially face extinction. But this time, as I went about my mission, and I observed the humans from above, I couldn't help but feel a sense of sadness for their lack of awareness. They were destroying their own planet, a place that could potentially sustain life for many eons to come. It was a thought that continued to weigh heavily upon my mind. One day, while I was undertaking one of my favorite activities by observing the very attractive female humans of Brazil, I noticed something peculiar. The humans had gathered in large numbers near one of their cities, holding signs and chanting in unison. My scanning equipment picked up on the vibrations of their voices and translated them into the words, "Save the Amazon rainforest." Although the protesters were not attempting to communicate with me specifically, this was, indeed, what I was in the process of doing. I was intrigued by this display of unity and passion for nature. It seemed that not all humans were blinded by greed and progress. Some still held on to a deep connection with the earth. In that moment, I felt a sense of hope for humanity's future. Perhaps they had the potential to change their ways and save their planet before it was too late. And if not, at least my efforts would ensure that some plant life would continue to thrive elsewhere in the universe. With renewed determination, I continued my mission with even greater care and precision. Every single plant gathered on this particular mission was carefully selected and cloned to preserve its unique genetic makeup. As I completed my task, I couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction knowing that these various forms of plant life would live on in a safe haven far from human destruction. But as I left the planet Earth and headed back towards Gliese 581G, I couldn't shake off the thought that maybe there was still hope for humanity after all. And perhaps one day, our two species could coexist peacefully and create the most beautiful offspring in the universe together. But more studying would first be required of human reproductive abilities, as it was not yet clear to us if they were able to breed across species. Clearly, these gorgeous females of Brazil had never been crossbred with any of the other earthly creatures such as sheep. But amidst all the joy and vibrancy of this civilization, I also witnessed the struggles and inequalities that plagued it. The disparity between the rich and the poor was very evident, with some living in lavish mansions while others of the same exact species struggled to find shelter on the streets. And despite their advancements in both technology and science, they still clung tightly onto outdated beliefs and prejudices. I was reminded by mankind once again of our own flaws as a species. Though we may possess superior beauty and advanced technology, we too have had our fair share of problems such as injustice and inequality. As my mission neared completion, I was torn between my duty to my own kind and my newfound admiration for the beauty of these particular humans. But ultimately, I knew that their future survival could very well rely upon my own preservation of their plant life. And so it was with a heavy heart that I bid farewell to this beautiful planet as well as to their most beautiful people. And so, as our ship departed deep into space, I couldn't help but feel a sense of hope for the planet of Earth. Perhaps one day our kind will be able to return to this planet, not merely as saviors and observers, but possibly as fathers to the future children of Brazil. Until then, I will always carry with me fond memories of the Brazil of 1996, a place where both beauty and imperfection coexisted in nearly perfect harmony. Arizona, 1997. My name, which smoothly rolls off the tongue with a musical flow in my own language, translates loosely to your Earth languages as Quid Mountain. It carries the weight and majesty of an ancient legend, passed down through generations of my own kind. The very utterance of it evokes images of towering peaks and sweeping valleys, a land untouched by time itself and filled with natural beauty. To me, it is more than just a name, it is a representation of my home, my history, my identity. Being handpicked by the leaders of the Intergalactic Commission for a crucial mission should have been an honor, but all I felt was fear and doubt. The task at hand was to reveal to humanity that they were not alone in this vast universe, a responsibility that weighed heavily upon my shoulders. The thought of how humanity would react to this news kept me up to all hours of the night, and I questioned whether it was truly right to interfere with their perception of reality. Our mission was not just about revealing the existence of extraterrestrial life to humanity, it was also about subsequently protecting them from the potential harm that this knowledge could bring. We had studied human history and saw how they reacted to change and new ideas, often with fear and violence. We knew that if all of mankind learned about our existence at once, their social structures and belief systems would crumble. It could potentially lead to chaos and a breakdown of their society. And so, we devised a plan to introduce ourselves gradually in a way that would not cause too much shock or disruption. Some may see our actions as both manipulative and controlling, but our intentions were always pure, to protect humanity from themselves and simultaneously help them reach their full potential as a peaceful and united species. We knew, as time went on, that people would become more open-minded towards the idea of extraterrestrial life. After many calculations, the chosen location for our unveiled appearance was Phoenix, Arizona. We had studied the area and determined it to be a place where the locals were especially open-minded and accepting of new ideas. It was also strategically located near several military bases, which would allow us to observe their likely violent reactions and readiness in case of future encounters. As our mothership hovered over the city of Phoenix, we could feel the excitement and anticipation building among our crew. This was a momentous occasion, the first time humanity would see tangible proof of extraterrestrial life. We had arranged for one of their famous actors and public figures to be flying his small aircraft in the area at that exact moment. He was known for being adventurous and open-minded, making him the perfect candidate to witness our grand arrival and evangelize to the rest of his kind about it. Although it should be noted that there was some doubt that he would be able to process the information in the long run and would block it out of his mind. We had visited the famous actor's companion previously, which our elders believed would ultimately work to our advantage in leveraging this figure. As his plane approached our mothership, we could sense his shock and amazement. Through telepathy, we communicated with him and explained our mission. To our relief, he showed no signs of fear or hostility. In fact, he seemed honored to be part of this historic event. We allowed him to fly alongside us as we slowly made our way over Phoenix. The sight of our mothership caused quite a stir among the citizens below. Some were filled with wonder and awe, while others were gripped with fear and uncertainty. In an effort to foster trust and understanding between our two species, we next made the bold decision to unveil our usually cloaked research vessels. The sleek, triangular vessels glided gracefully over the less occupied areas of the land referred to as rural Arizona. Their shimmering metallic surfaces caught the sun's rays bouncing off the sole local moon and casting a mesmerizing display. We held our breath as we allowed humans to bear witness to our advanced technology, hoping it would strengthen the bond between us and dispel any lingering doubts or suspicions. For a moment, the air was filled with awe and wonder as the humans gazed up at our craft, their eyes wide with amazement. It was a small but significant step towards bridging the gap between our worlds. But perhaps the most important interaction during this mission was with their governmental figures. We made direct contact with their leaders, one of them who even proclaimed to be the governor of Arizona. We then offered him a chance to communicate with us and to learn more about our world. This gesture was met with mixed reactions. While some humans like the governor were hesitant and skeptical, younger humans were more open-minded and eager for communication. As we continued to communicate with the humans' government officials in the time after the Phoenix disclosure event, we sensed their surprise and shock at our presence. We could feel their unease and skepticism as they struggled to come to terms with the very reality of our existence. But we persisted, determined to establish a dialogue and foster an understanding between worlds. At first, these leaders were hesitant to engage with us, fearful of how the rest of their own people would react. But as we shared information about our advanced technology and peaceful intentions, they slowly began to open up. We could sense their curiosity growing as they asked questions about our world and our species. They quickly then became even more ready to engage with us, but only if this engagement went unnoticed by the not-so-silent majority of non-believing humans. Through this continued communication, we were able to dispel many myths and misconceptions that had been spread about us by the few, often high-ranking, humans who had encountered us before. We explained the purpose of our mission: to study and understand other worlds in order to advance both of our societies towards greater knowledge and progress. As trust grew between us, we made the decision to invite a select few government officials on board our mothership for a tour of our facilities and a demonstration of our technology. This was met with both excitement and caution from these officials, but ultimately they accepted our invitation. The tour was a success, with the humans marveling at the advanced technology and capabilities of our mothership. We took this opportunity to further explain the mutual benefits of cooperation between our two species, sharing knowledge, resources, and advancements in both science and technology. But perhaps the most significant outcome of this dialogue was the development of an intergalactic treaty between my own spacefaring civilization and the relatively primitive human civilization on Earth. This treaty set in place guidelines for a peaceful coexistence and cooperation between us, ensuring that neither species would interfere with or harm the other. With this treaty newly in place, it was clear that humanity was ready for continued incremental contact with extraterrestrial beings. And so it was decided that we would make ourselves known to all of the inhabitants of Earth, but would only do so very gradually, and disclosure would only continue if mankind was able to live up to a few stipulations. Southern California, 2004. The Majestic 12 had reluctantly agreed to continue their disclosure plan, gradually revealing more and more information about the existence of aliens to mankind. As part of this plan, certain species would no longer hide their presence when passing near the top-secret extraterrestrial underwater base located near Catalina Island. The disclosure plan created a sense of unease and uncertainty among the other aliens and I. We were unsure if it was the right choice or if it would lead to dangerous consequences. However, we all knew that we couldn't turn back now. Most sightings were typically from military aircraft of the United States, their powerful engines roaring as they soared through the vast open skies. The pilots, loyal to their government and bound by duty, worked tirelessly for the President of the United States. However, these sightings were not always disclosed to the general public, shrouded in secrecy and hidden from prying eyes. The consensus among my fellow extraterrestrials was that a more concentrated effort was necessary in order to reveal ourselves. We decided that we needed to pursue disclosure with a subgroup of humans besides fighter pilots. As my fellow aliens and I continued to observe and study Earth, we couldn't help but develop a fondness for a particular subculture of humans known as surfers. And so, in an attempt to bridge the gap between worlds, it was agreed that my fellow aliens and I would make ourselves visible to the surfers at regular intervals. The surfers would look on in awe, their tanned and muscular bodies glistening in the sun as they rode the waves. It was a sight that never failed to bring a smile to my fellow aliens' faces as they were reminded of the simple joys of life here on Earth. The surfers were certainly a tribe of interesting creatures, their existence intrinsically tied to the ebb and flow of the ocean. With an intensity that rivaled our own cosmic journeys, they rode its waves with fearless determination. Their surfboards, each one a masterpiece adorned with vibrant designs, served as their earthly vessels of exploration, each bearing witness to their fiery devotion to the ocean. I was entranced by the surfers' ancient rituals, watching in awe as they stood at the water's edge. With intense focus, they scanned the horizon for the perfect wave, a quest for harmony with the primordial forces of nature. Their attire, a tapestry of vibrant wetsuits, and bold, colorful shorts, spoke to their deep connection with the oceanic realm. To me, they embodied a nomadic spirit, journeying across galaxies and navigating the vast cosmic currents of Earth's vast seas. Every movement was fluid and purposeful, as if they were communing with some unseen force beyond our understanding. The crashing of the waves and the salty tang of the air only added to their mystical aura. I could not help but take a great amount of interest in these particular earthlings. As days transformed into weeks, I fully immersed myself in the daily rituals of the surfers. They spoke a unique language of their own, a lexicon of waves, tides, and swells. Each wave was not merely a physical force but a cosmic dance, a fleeting moment of transcendence when they harnessed the energy of the ocean. When the surfers would end a conversation with me, they would advise me to hang loose as they strolled away. I was particularly fond of this ritual. Their interactions and bonds with one another piqued my curiosity even further. The surfers shared tales of their adventures with me, stories that spoke of cosmic connections with the ocean, tales of oneness with the vast, blue expanse. They extended a heartfelt welcome to my fellow extraterrestrials and I, inviting us to share in their earthly odyssey. Despite my best efforts, I couldn't seem to escape the constant contradictions of this earthly world. While everyone seemed to be searching for a deeper connection with the ocean, there was also an underlying obsession with material possessions. Surfboards, usually seen as tools for spiritual fulfillment, had also become symbols of status and desire. It was a paradox that constantly haunted me, the struggle between pursuing spirituality while being engulfed in the materialistic desires of society. It was a reflection of the internal conflict within every human being. As I delved deeper into my own celestial growth, I became fully immersed in the world of the surfers. We moved as one with the waves, our bodies gracefully gliding through the endless sea. With each ride, I felt an overwhelming sense of unity and passion that flowed through us all. The roar of the ocean echoed around us, a constant reminder of its mighty power and our symbiotic dance with it. As I walked along the shore, I was drawn to a group of surfers gathered in a circle. Their eyes were bright with excitement. As we shared our thoughts and experiences, I further realized that these were not just thrill-seekers chasing waves, but guardians of the ocean's mysteries and protectors of its delicate balance. They spoke of the mighty force of the sea and its fragility in the face of human actions. In turn, I explained to them the importance of maintaining this balance for the health of their planet. The surfers' passion for their craft extended beyond riding waves. It was rooted in a deep understanding of the ocean's role in sustaining life on Earth. In that moment, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for these earthly stewards and their unwavering dedication to preserving this vital environment. Amidst the sea-salted air and sun-kissed sands, I bore witness to a profound awakening within the surfer subculture. It was a realization that surpassed the tangible world and delved into something deeper, the interconnectedness of all life. This cosmic truth resonated with our celestial perspective, filling us with both a sense of unity and purpose. The ocean was no longer just a playground for these surfers, it was a source of spiritual sustenance. With each wave, they were reminded of the cyclical nature of life and their role in it. The vibrant blue waters reflected the endless cycle of birth, growth, and eventual return to the earth. It was a powerful reminder that we were all connected, like drops in an infinite ocean. It was decided to take a couple of these surfers to our underwater base near Catalina Island. The underwater base was a magnificent structure, its smooth metallic walls glistening in the sunlight that filtered through the crystal-clear ocean waters. Fish of all colors and sizes swam around the base, their scales reflecting light in a dazzling display. As we descended into the depths of the ocean, the sleek, metallic walls of our underwater base came into view. The blue-green light filtering through the water illuminated the structure, giving it an otherworldly glow. The two surfers, named Todd and Woody, were blindfolded for their own protection as well as our own, as I guided them towards the entrance. As we entered the base, Todd and Woody's blindfolds were removed, revealing their wide-eyed amazement. They looked around in awe at the advanced technology and futuristic design of our underwater home. The walls were lined with observation windows, offering a breathtaking view of the ocean floor. I led them through the main living quarters, explaining how our team of scientists and researchers lived and worked here to study the Earth's mysteries. We passed by a state-of-the-art laboratory where alien scientists were conducting experiments on marine life and studying the effects of human actions on the ocean. Next, we entered the control room, where advanced computer systems monitored and tracked Earth life in real time. I showed them how we used this information to better understand and protect the planet's delicate balance. Todd and Woody were fascinated by all that they saw, asking questions about everything from how we obtained food to how we generated oxygen within the base. I answered their questions eagerly, happy to share our knowledge with these curious surfers. Finally, I took them to our observation deck, where they could see firsthand what they had only experienced from above before, the majesty of the ocean. Schools of fish swam by as dolphins played in the distance. The sun's rays filtered through the water, creating an otherworldly atmosphere. As Todd and Woody gazed out at this vast underwater world, I could see their appreciation for it growing even more. They understood even more now why we all needed to protect this fragile ecosystem. We spent hours on the observation deck, sharing stories and insights into our respective worlds. As we watched a pod of whales pass by in the distance, it was clear that our connection went beyond words or cultures. It was a deep bond forged by our mutual love for this planet. The surfers watched in amazement as I began to converse with the whales. As the sun began to set and the whales disappeared into the distance, I turned to Todd and Woody with a smile. "Shall I now return you to your homes?" I asked. They nodded eagerly and followed me back through the base. As we walked, they couldn't stop talking about what they had just witnessed. It was clear that their minds had been opened to a whole new world. But before I put their blindfolds back on them in advance of their journey home, we headed towards the main living area where we were greeted by some of my colleagues. Todd and Woody's eyes widened at the sight of these otherworldly beings, but they remained calm as I introduced them. "This is Captain Zorek," I said, gesturing towards a tall, blue-skinned alien with piercing red eyes. "And this is Scientist Lyra," I continued, motioning towards a smaller green creature with robotic arms. Todd and Woody shook hands with both of them, still in awe of their presence. "We were just about to have dinner," Captain Zorek said, leading us towards a large dining table where an assortment of food was laid out. As we ate, Todd and Woody couldn't help but ask questions about our different species and how we all managed to coexist in this underwater base. We happily shared our knowledge with them, explaining how our diverse backgrounds had actually helped us to understand and appreciate each other's cultures even more. After dinner, we went back to the observation deck for some more ocean gazing. As we sat there in silence, taking in the beauty of the ocean, Surfer Todd finally spoke up. "I never would have imagined that something like this could exist," he said with wonder in his voice. "That's because most people don't take the time to look beyond what they already know," I replied. "But you two surfers are different. You're always seeking new experiences." Todd and Woody smiled at each other, knowing that it was true. They had always been curious, and as their time at our base came to an end, Todd and Woody expressed their gratitude for allowing them to experience something so unique and so beautiful. They promised to spread the message of conservation to the others of Earth. Despite their initial excitement and interest during the tour, I couldn't help but question if it had ultimately been a mistake. One of them ended up behind bars for dealing something called illicit substances, and the other was sent to a mental hospital shortly after our time together at the base. Was it my fault for exposing them to this world? Or were their paths already set in motion before they even stepped foot on the base? I couldn't shake off the feelings of both guilt and uncertainty. The doubts among my extraterrestrial peers became palpable as we considered the potential impact of our planned disclosure to humankind. Could they handle it? Could they understand and accept our existence? These questions weighed heavily on everyone's minds as there was now a growing desire to slow the pace of disclosure even further. The once steady stream of disclosure many felt should now become a mere trickle, as if trying to protect humankind from being overwhelmed. Many aliens now believed that going forward, that knowledge should be shared at only a glacial pace, slowly and steadily, like an unstoppable force inching its way forward. Despite our advanced technology and understanding of the universe, we were treading carefully with this delicate matter. Chicago, Illinois, 2006. Our strategy for the gradual disclosure of extraterrestrial existence required a change in tactics, so it was decided that we would try and interact with Earthlings who were considered more credible than the surfers. In 2004, the Majestic 12 had decided to change tactics and interact with commercial airlines personnel in order to gradually disclose our existence to humankind. Unlike the military personnel, who reported to the president and who were sworn to secrecy, the pilots and crew of these flights were considered credible but were not under obligation to stay silent. Our chosen location was Chicago's O'Hare Airport, one of the busiest airports in the world. We waited for a particularly busy day, when more flights than usual were scheduled to arrive and depart. Our plan was to interact with as many aircraft as possible without causing any harm or panic among the passengers. As a commercial airplane approached the airport for landing, we decided to make contact through their communication system. At first, they were hesitant and confused by our voices coming through on their radio channel, so we tried to communicate with them telepathically instead, and the humans then became more cooperative. Our interactions with these commercial airliners continued throughout the day, with many flights reporting similar experiences. However, many humans that witnessed us over the skies of Chicago that day refused to believe what they had seen. Other humans, especially the commercial airline employees, refused to spread the word about the presence of extraterrestrials to other members of their species, despite the fact that as many as 12 airline employees spotted the object and filed initial reports with their employers. Despite the evidence we provided the humans with in their numerous eyewitness accounts, many humans were still hesitant to believe in or talk about our existence. Some dismissed us as weather phenomenon, and some even as swamp gas, while many others refused to even acknowledge what they had seen. We had long realized that convincing humankind of our existence would need to be a slow and gradual process, but did not realize the level of organizational and psychological denial that our disclosure strategy would be up against. It seemed mankind was one of the most stubborn creatures in the known universe when it came time for adopting new knowledge and beliefs. In the wake of our failed disclosure attempt at O'Hare, we decided that a meeting was needed to discuss alternate strategies for disclosure. Many of my alien peers gathered at Catalina Island to discuss what else could be done. This was not a formal intergalactic conference, as it was already agreed upon that the strategy of gradual disclosure would be pursued, but instead was a smaller, less formal meeting about alternative ways to make the humans comprehend that they were not alone in the universe and to understand that they were under greater threat from each other than they were from interplanetary beings. We discussed what had happened at O'Hare and agreed that it was time for us to consider alternative methods of disclosure. It seemed that no matter how much evidence we provided or how many sightings occurred, the majority of humans were still in denial about our existence. One idea proposed was to make our presence known through popular media such as movies and television shows. This would slowly acclimate humans to the idea of extraterrestrial life without causing too much disruption or fear. Another suggestion was to interact directly with influential world leaders and celebrities in order to gain their support and spread awareness about our existence. This was considered to be a risky move as it could potentially cause chaos and panic among the general population if leaked prematurely. It became clear that while our gradual disclosure strategy had its challenges, it was still the most viable option. But it was also clear that we needed more time for humankind to slowly adjust and accept our existence at their own pace. The topic of human emotions and empathy was brought up by my peers. They suggested that perhaps the reason why humans were so resistant to accepting our existence was due to their fear and inability to empathize with beings different from themselves. This sparked a heated debate among us. Some argued that it was not our responsibility to cater to human emotions and that they should simply accept the truth. Others believed that understanding human psychology and emotions would be crucial in successfully revealing our existence. As we delved deeper into this topic, it became apparent that we did not have a full understanding of human emotions ourselves. While we had studied humans for years, we still struggled to comprehend their complex range of feelings and reactions. We decided to conduct further research on human emotions and behavior, hoping to gain a deeper understanding of how they would react to our disclosure. It was important for us to plan carefully as any mistake could have catastrophic consequences. Over the next few months, we used advanced technology to observe humans in their natural habitats without being detected. We noticed patterns in their behavior and noticed how certain events triggered emotional responses in them. Through this research, we realized that humans were driven by fear, which made them resistant to change and new information. This fear also led them to discriminate against those who were different from them. But at the same time, we discovered that humans were capable of great love, compassion, and empathy towards others as well. It seemed that while they may struggle with fear-based reactions initially, they also had the potential for immense growth and understanding. This newfound knowledge led us back to our initial discussion about alternative strategies for disclosure. Instead of trying to force humans into accepting our existence through evidence or media exposure, perhaps it would be more effective to appeal to their emotions and empathy. One of the main ideas we came up with was highlighting the similarities between ourselves and humans rather than focusing on our differences. We discovered that humans were more likely to accept beings they could relate to, so we decided to use this to our advantage. We began by compiling a list of qualities and characteristics that were common between us and the humans. Surprisingly, we found many similarities, like the need for love, connection, community, and a desire for both peace and harmony. We also realized that our advanced technology had given us an advantage in certain areas, but it did not make us fundamentally different from the humans. We acknowledged that we were all at least somewhat intelligent beings seeking purpose and fulfillment in life. Using our advanced technology once again, we identified individual humans who had shown empathy towards marginalized communities on Earth. These individuals seemed more open to accepting new ideas and were often referred to as humanitarians and community organizers by their peers. Perhaps these should be the targets selected for our disclosure going forward. Ultimately, we decided on a combination of new approaches that would allow us to target different audiences without alarming the entire population at the same time. And so it was agreed we would try another disclosure again in Earth year 2014 after the Majestic 12 would have the time needed to approve of our newly reformulated plan. Stephenville, Texas, 2008. The small town of Stephenville was abuzz with excitement as word spread about a possible alien encounter. People crowded the streets, cameras and binoculars in hand, hoping to catch a glimpse of something out of this world. Rumors swirled that the government was soon likely to confirm the existence of extraterrestrial life on Earth. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation as everyone waited for an official announcement from the human authorities. Unlike our previous attempts at disclosure as a test, we carefully calculated and strategized about which individuals would be fortunate enough to witness our ship's arrival. Our list included a skilled pilot, a vigilant police officer, and other carefully selected humans deemed worthy by alien leadership. Such testing had become necessary even prior to the Majestic 12's next intergalactic council scheduled in 2014 due to the possibility of humans ending their future as a spacefaring civilization before it could truly even begin. They were now sending way too many satellites into orbit in a manner where they could crash, and thus create a cloud of debris around the planet Earth so thick that interplanetary travel could no longer safely take place. The humans even had a name for this. They called it Kessler Syndrome. As our ships descended from the skies, their sleek metallic bodies glinting in the sunlight, the chosen few watched with both awe and wonder. It was a moment that would be etched into their minds forever, a moment of both intergalactic connection and revelation. The picturesque town of Stephenville, nestled in the rolling hills of central Texas, and the neighboring town of Dublin were a stark contrast to the bustling cities where our previous attempts at gradual disclosure had taken place, and were the perfect place for our test. The streets were lined with quaint shops and charming homes, and the pace of life was slower here. The logic behind choosing this more rural area for disclosure efforts was that members of the tight-knit community might have been more likely to know each other than humans in larger cities, and therefore more open to believing their friends and neighbors when they discussed the extraordinary event that had occurred. As we combed through countless web search results, library archives, and telephone records from all corners of the globe, a pattern emerged. The residents of Stephenville were more likely, on a per capita basis, to report the event to UFO watchdog organizations such as MUFON, also known as the Mutual Unidentified Flying Object Network, than humans in any other single location. While this was promising in terms of spreading the news worldwide, it also raised concerns about potential consequences for our extraterrestrial contacts within MUFON and similar organizations. Would they be able to handle the scrutiny and attention that would inevitably follow from such a report? There was no easy answer, but we knew we had to proceed. At this grand event, we made sure to showcase not only the incredible speed of our advanced interstellar spaceships, but also dazzled the humans with a demonstration of our swift and agile maneuvers. The sleek, metallic ships gleamed under the shimmering stars above. Our spaceships then sliced through the air like shooting stars, leaving behind a trail of sparks and awe in their wake. The humans watched with wide-eyed amazement as our spacecraft zipped and weaved effortlessly through obstacles, showcasing their superior technology and design. Perhaps most to the amazement of the humans was when we stopped the craft and stayed stock still for what must have seemed to the Earthlings like hours. We were proud to show off our advanced technology and leave a lasting impression on these curious yet primitive beings. In addition to demonstrating our technology for the people of Stephenville, luckily we were able to showcase it for the nearby military as well. The Air Force Reserve in nearby Fort Worth sent nearly a dozen F-16s to Stephenville that night to investigate what the locals had reported to them. It was our desire to try and demonstrate our advanced technology to these reservists, since they were a more decentralized version of the United States military, and might be less likely to keep tight-lipped about such events than active duty military personnel might be. Despite the testing event that took place in Stephenville, the incident failed to garner attention from the worldwide press. Many humans from outside of the immediate area doubted that these small-town, rural inhabitants truly comprehended the magnitude of what they had witnessed in their skies. The town's rolling hills and open fields may have seemed like an unlikely setting for such a perplexing and otherworldly encounter, yet, for those who were there that fateful night, there was no denying the truth of what they had seen. A truth that would forever alter their perception of the world around them. Our test was eventually deemed a modest success by the esteemed leaders of the Majestic 12. Their cautious optimism was evident in the way they analyzed each new detail that emerged from it. The event was a delicate dance of secrecy and disclosure which I had carefully orchestrated. And though it may have been viewed as a mere footnote in history for mankind, for those involved, it held a weighty significance. For the next few years our minds whirled with strategies and contingencies as we prepared to step even further into the unknown territory of human contact and disclosure. The weight of responsibility and anticipation continued to hang heavy in the earthly air, but we knew that it would soon again be time to take yet another gradual and incremental step towards a peaceful coexistence with humankind.